Hello and welcome back to another episode of Learning PHP with me. In the previous episode, we created a folder or directory for notes, and we also did the same for errors. We moved the notes controllers into their own directory, and we moved the notes views into their own directory as well. And we linked those up via routes and updated the require statements for every relevant PHP document. Now this one, it looks like it's going to be a big one. It's one of the bigger lessons in the whole series. It's called PHP Autoloading and Extraction. So without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, welcome back. I will warn you up front, we're still focused on project organization in this video, and I'm going to make a lot of small adjustments and tweaks. So I tell you this because if you typically work along in your own code editor for each video, maybe for this lesson alone, don't do that. Just watch it. Come along for the ride, and then at the end of the video, you'll have a link to the source code, and at that point, you can update your own project. All right, let's get started.
Okay, I did not see that coming. Let's watch, and maybe I'll pause and give some commentary along the way.
Let's begin by discussing the project root. So why don't we start by opening any file here, and at the very top, I'm going to var dump and write hello there. Okay, so have you ever considered what would happen if the user tries to access one of these files from the browser?
So it hits the router initially. So I'm not going to code, but just to see, the life cycle is index and then goes to the router here, and it'll just dump right here. It'll just stop everything. Right? It'll just say hello there and nothing else will happen.
All right, let's give it a shot. So we load the home page, and yeah, we see hello there, but
why do you get the rest of the execution?
We'd expect that. We are requiring the router, after all. But yeah, now let's access router.php directly. Router.php, and it works. And just to make this crystal clear, let's die afterward to prove that we are...
So you weren't dying in the dd function. Maybe you removed the die statement. So I'll do that as well. See, this is only something that's different from his implementation. See, I've included die here. I'll remove it.
Are accessing and triggering and executing that file directly. And as it turns out, this is a big security concern that we didn't anticipate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Can I do that here? Or can I just go to router? PHP. Okay, cool. So I can't. Okay, cool. So for my installation, my version of this app, it seems to not give you this thing.
Okay, so yeah, if you think about it, right now our document
it gave me a 4 of 4.
Root, so to speak, is the demo folder. It's the root of our folder. And normally all requests are going through index.php. However, the way the built-in server works is, well, if you have another file that exists and that can be matched, then it will load that file instead. So yeah, let's just try a different one, like config, and we'll say echo hello there. Okay, now let's try to load that from the browser. Config.php, and
interesting. So maybe it's because there was not an echo statement there. I have to test this. Okay, I'm not changing anything here, but I'll just dd hey. Okay, if I go to router.php, interesting. Okay, yeah, I see it. Now, so the reason I did not get anything there was because I wasn't displaying anything to view. So this doesn't require anything here, router.php, which is why. But if I inspect the element, will I get all of this code? This is tailwind, which is fine. Inside main, your content. Sorry, page not found. So this is the 404 page. But then why did I get the hey string over here? It came here. Cool. So from the looks of it, I don't see any code appearing from there. I'm probably getting a 404 here. Console, yeah, 404. Okay, this is fine. Understood. So I'm gonna remove this. Let's continue watching.
And we get hello there. So again, a big security concern, and we can't allow this.
Correct.
Okay, so let's do this. First, let me undo our examples here, and I'm going to change the document root. And this document root is typically your public folder. This is where your entry point will be, so index.php will go there, and it's also where you'd store, for example, style sheets or images or JavaScript files. So let's do that now. Create a directory called public, and I will move index.php within there. But just creating the folder isn't enough. When we initialize or boot up our server, we need to tell it what the document root should be.
Okay.
So real quick, if I run php-h, let's look for -t. Yeah, so when we boot up the server, I can pass the -t option to specify what my document root for the built-in server should be.
Okay.
So let's do it again. Create a server at localhost 8888 -t, and the document root will now be not the root of the project, but instead the public folder. Okay, so now, yeah, let's refresh this page, and notice we get a not found because
because it's looking for config.php.
It doesn't know anything about this config file. All it knows about is this public folder because this is now the document root.
So if you open the index.php, config.php is probably required in index.
Okay, so let's switch back to the browser and tackle the next problem. If we load the root URL, now it's trying to require
Right. First up is functions.php.
functions, but it can't find it.
So he was on config.php in the URL.
Again, that's because we moved it into a new directory. Okay, so rather than constantly updating our require paths, I think this is a good opportunity to choose a more seamless implementation, and I'll show you how. Now, the first thing I might do is declare a constant for the project, and I will call this base path, which will point to a path, an absolute path, to the root of your project. And again, people often call this base path. So given that I'm in index.php, well, the root of this project would be the current directory, as we learned about in the last episode, and then let's go up a level like that. So this should take me to the demo folder. And we can confirm that by saying var dump base path. Okay, come back, give it a refresh, and yeah, it's still failing, but notice now this is our path to the demo folder. Okay, so yeah, the next step, we're not going to keep this, but the next step would be to update all of these requires. So you might do something like this, require base path and then functions. So now if I come back, you'll see that it still fails, but the issue will be related to a different file that it's trying to require. Yeah, now it's trying to load database. So again, you could do this, base path, but again...
So what he's doing is he's concatenating the base path to functions.php.
And I don't know, I just don't love it. Come back, give it a refresh. And yeah, that worked, but now we've moved on to...
Same problem we had in the previous one.
The next issue further down the rabbit hole. Yeah, so this is what I mean when I say maybe we should consider a different approach for requiring files. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to go into functions.php, and at the bottom, I will add 2 helper functions for declaring a path that is relative to the root of the project. So we're going to call this base path, and we'll accept a path. And then what I'll do, and let me give it a quick reformat here. Then what we'll do...
Return base dir concatenate to ... concatenate to path.
Is return base path, our constant, and then we will concatenate the path that is provided when we call the function. So again, it's not too complex, but it'll just make it a little easier to interact with. And now whenever we need to declare a path relative to the base path, I don't have to remember what the name of the constant is. Okay, so let's come back. And now for these three, what I could do is select them and use our new base path helper function. And yeah, of course, I can't use our new helper function for this required.
Because functions defines the base path function.
Because it's for functions.php and that helper function doesn't exist yet. Okay, so now if I come back and refresh, yeah, we still get the same issue, but we've created a nice little wrapper that we can use throughout the entire code base. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's solve this warning by going into controllers/index. And here you can see we're trying to load a view, but this time I'm going to swap it out with base path and then our view. Okay, so switch back, give it a refresh, and there we go.
Right, so he's gonna get the same problem in about nodes and contact.
We're up and running. Okay, but I think we can take this even further. As you can imagine, loading a view is something you will do constantly in a project. So with that in mind, maybe it would make sense to add a helper function like view, and then I just provide the name of the view that I want to load. Okay, that would be pretty cool. Why don't we allow for it? Functions.php, add a new one here, view, path, and then this would load, think about it, we can reuse
base path plus view plus path. So base path concatenate path, base path concatenate view concatenate path.
Base path, so call base path, and then we will start at the views directory, and then we will concatenate the path to the user's provided view. So yeah, in this case, we have index.view.php. So this would load our base path /views/index.view.php. And I think that's what we want. All right, so with any luck, come back and refresh. Everything still works, but now this is just a more friendly API, so to speak. It's easier for me to use and easier for me to grasp that we are requiring a view. But even better, and you might like this, what if we move the require statement into the view function as well? That might be cool. Okay, so we give that a try, but I bet we run into a little snag here. Come back, give it a refresh, and yeah, we have a warning, undefined variable heading. Okay, so if you want, pause the video and see if you can figure out what happened here.
So it's being required from functions.php. No, so functions.php should right. So what happened is the return function needs an argument called header or heading, and that argument is not being supplied when we define the function view in functions.php. So to fix that, it should the function view should accept two parameters. One is the path and the other is the heading.
Okay, here's the issue. Notice that we are loading a view, and that view is looking for a heading variable. However, the heading variable was declared in the controller, and now we are requiring the view from an entirely different scope, and that's why it can't find it. So yeah, it sounds like if we want to take this approach, and I like it a lot, we probably need a way to pass all of our view data along with this function call. So maybe we could pass an array as the second argument. And yeah, we could do something like this. Heading is heading, or in this case, I could just inline it. So I could swap this out with home, like so. Okay, but now I need to go into the view function and accept the attributes, which will default to an empty array. Okay, but of course, it's still not going to work because we aren't yet doing anything.
How do you apply those attributes?
With that attributes array.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as it turns out, PHP has a function called extract. So first, come along for the ride. I will call extract, switch back, and that does solve the problem. So let's see what extract does. I'm going to click through here with command click. And yeah, we can see it imports variables into the current symbol table from an array. Okay, that makes it sound super complicated.
It does.
Just think of it like this. It accepts an array and it turns that array into a set of variables where the name of the variable is the key and the value of the variable is the value associated with the key.
Amazing.
So for example, if I also did foo is bar, well then once I extract it, I would then have a foo variable. In fact, let's just try it out. Die and dump foo, and this should be bar. Yeah. And you see how that works.
Yeah.
Super, super handy stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Amazing.
I think that is the way to go. All right, now let's update our other controllers. So I will go to about. I'll do the same thing here, but load about.view and then update this. All right. Then we will go into contact. And you know what? I'm going to speed all of this up. So I'm going to hit fast forward right now. Okay, and that's enough. Yeah, it's the exact same process there. But now if we go into notes, this will be slightly different. So we'll start here, and I'll paste this in. We're going to load notes/index.view.php. The heading is my notes, so I can get rid of this. And then really, I don't need to access the db variable and the config variable from my view. And as it turns out, before this refactor, you could have done that, which might have led to potential issues. But now we're avoiding that entirely. So we'll just say notes is notes. And now these two variables, heading and notes, are the only ones that will be available when we load our view. Okay, so now I will copy this and update these as well. This will be notes/create.
This is so useful. So what he said was none of the other variables in the previous one. I'll rewind just a little bit. None of the other variables, so config and db, these will not be available on the front end. These won't be loaded at all because the view index.view.php only requires these two variables. That's so handy.
When we load our view. Okay, so now I will copy this and update these as well. This will be notes/create. What is our heading? It's create note. And what do we need here? Okay, well, maybe
I'll tell you what you need. You will probably need you probably need to extract all of this into a function, man.
be an errors variable, and I think that's it. All right, and then we'll go into show.
Actually, yeah.
And do the exact same thing. So paste this one in, and we have notes/show. This is note, and then I'm going to pass through a note variable that corresponds to this. Okay, so I can get rid of that. I think that's...
Current user ID as well, maybe. No, not at that stage. No, I don't think so.
I think that's right. So yeah, a lot of changes here. Let's see if I made any mistakes. Come back and refresh. Home, about, contact, notes. Oh, now we have a new issue. So it looks like in notes/index, yeah, once again, we are trying to require a config, but now we've changed our document root. So this is another case where I can require base path and then config.php. Come back, refresh, and
Yeah, partial stuff. This is gonna happen in every single view.
now when I go into my view, yeah, this is what I meant when I said just come along for the ride, because when you make these sweeping project changes, you have to update lots of file paths. Yeah, so now, let's see. We're trying to load head.php, and we have to update all of these to now reference our base path. So I will use multiple cursors and change this to require base path, and that'll be a fine and quick way to deal with this. So come back and give it a refresh, and that solves the problem. Okay, so once again, I will hit fast forward and update all of the other views where we require the exact same partials. Okay.
In create and show.
All right, and that's done. Come back, refresh. Once again, home, about, notes, contact. Let's view a note, and same thing. Okay, so come back here, fix our require. And yeah, in a bit, I will show you how to use containers so that you don't always have to manually build up your database class. Yeah, we got to focus on one thing at a time so we don't get too overwhelmed.
Okay.
Okay, and then here, it looks like we have an old require. Yeah, I forgot to get rid of that. Okay, good. And then to create a note, require validator. Okay, good. This brings us to the next thing I want to review. All right, let's open up our create controller. And yeah, here I'm trying to require my validator. And again,
But we aren't assigning it to a variable here because we're just using validator :::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::::: come back, give it a refresh. Okay, and then it looks like undefined variable errors. Yeah, that's because we only declare the errors variable if the form was submitted. Why don't we do that no matter what at the top? So no matter what, there will be an errors variable available to the view. Come back, give it a refresh, and that solves it. Yeah.
Finally, let's create a new note. Come on back. And yeah, everything is up and running. So
Notice he did not clear out the post body after a successful database write, but we have.
a new note. Come on back. And yeah, everything is up and running. So lots of little changes, like I said, but I think it's for the better. But we're still not done. I want you to notice for any of these controllers, how about this one here, where we display all notes? It's just assumed that we have access to a database class. And we know that's the case because we declare as much with an index.php. But I don't like the idea where every time I need access to a new class, I have to require it with an index.php. Not a good approach. Instead, it would be cool if there was a way to lazily and automatically load and require these classes when I instantiate them or when I need them. Okay, so let's try this out. Why don't we get rid of the database and response requires? Because now we're going to change it up. So now when we load index.php, we declare a constant, we pull in our helper functions, and then we require the router that parses the requests and figures out what controller needs to be loaded. Okay, so that means if I come back to Firefox and
This won't work.
I give it a refresh, yeah, and now as expected, our controller no longer knows what database is. Okay, so let's switch back. And let's see, right here, I'm going to call this scary PHP function called SPL Autoload Register. Don't worry, it's not too bad. This is going to accept a class, and just to get us rolling, I will die and dump the class so you can see when this function is automatically triggered by PHP. All right, switch back to Firefox, give it a refresh, and aha, we have called that function, or PHP called that function automatically. And here's why.
Interesting. So anytime something needs to be auto-loaded, I don't know who called it, what called it. Did it require? Yeah, I think the router required a database object, which is why it called it.
If I go into the controller temporarily, just to show you, I will comment all of that out. And yeah, this line right here is what's triggering that call. So if I come back and refresh, yeah, you still see it there. Okay, so the issue is PHP doesn't know what that database class is, so it's trying to track it down. And we have declared our implementation, so to speak, for how we should autoload files that aren't immediately available. Okay, so now we just have to figure out what is the logic? What should we do? Well, we have database, so why don't we just say initially require class.php, and maybe just to be crystal clear, we will start at the base path. So we can use our helper function base path. Okay, but actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's pass this to var dump just so you can see exactly what we are trying to require. All right, back to Firefox, give it a refresh. And yeah, right up here, this is what we're...
Right. Users public go up a directory, then can't it just be demo then database? But it's fine.
We're trying to load. All right, let's see if it works. Bring it back. Come back, give it a refresh. And there we go. That fixed it. Okay, so now these other warnings are just because we commented these out. So let's bring it back. like so, come back, give it a refresh, and there we go. Perfect. So that's kind of a handy function, right? It lets us declare manually how we want to go about importing classes that have not already been explicitly or manually required. Okay, so we're about ready to finish up for this lesson. But the last little thing, and then by the way, in the next video, we will dig into namespaces, which should be fun.
Thanks.
So I want you to notice how I have a bunch of classes here, like database and response and validator, that aren't uniquely related to the application we're building. Or in other words, if I was building a to-do app, I would have classes like to-do item, maybe task list, maybe project, maybe account. Those are all unique to my application. But validation or a response or interacting with a database, that's very generic. That's very infrastructure related. So why don't we separate those a bit? And we can call this directory anything we want, but I'm just going to call it for now like core, just kind of deep down core stuff. And then I will grab those. And how about validator, maybe the router, maybe response, maybe database.
Functions and functions as well, I guess.
I could even move functions there if I want.
Called it.
Actually, maybe I will as well. I'll grab those and move them into our new core directory. Okay, but now, of course, if I come back and refresh, the paths have changed, so now it can't find the file. Okay, that's an easy fix though. Let's go into our autoloader. And yeah, we will need to tweak our require statement. And actually on this note, a quick warning, in the next episode, when we get into namespacing, we'll have to rewrite this again. But that's okay, one step at a time.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, look in the core directory and then find the class. Or we can inline all of this. So I'm using PHP Storm, so I can option return, and I can choose convert concatenation to string interpolation. And I think that looks a little better. Okay, come back to Firefox, give it a refresh, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I think we made some great strides here. So in the next video, as mentioned, we will dig into namespaces.
I don't even know what to do or where to begin. This will be the most dense episode yet. I agree it was. As we discuss a variety of topics to the project, we touch upon root, helper function, autoloading, and more. Yeah, it raised the bar quite a bit, dude. Gotta admit, I'm a little lost here. How do I even do this? You know what? Let me start by looking at the source code. Okay, so these are the changes that are made. A lot of changes were made. Okay, let's try to follow along. So if you don't know what I'm doing, I am on github.com. Okay, cool. And it lists out Git is essentially version control for coders, for developers. You know how whenever you're creating a document, then you save it and submit it, assignment.doc, for example, or docx. And then you realize, hey, I needed to change something. Then you say assignment.version2.docx. And then, hey, I realize I want to change something else. So assignment.version3.docx. That would get very messy if developers did that. But can you imagine, like about 20 years ago, people did actually do exactly that for code as well. Can you imagine how messy it would be? So a genius called Linus Torvalds, who you might know as the inventor of Linux as well, he invented something called Git, which solves this. And Git is version control. So this is controlling versions of different software. So for this episode, what we're going to do is to follow along using the version control information. First up, database.php was changed to core/database.php. Let's do that. I'm going to close everything. This is going to be a new interesting exercise for me as well, because I've never done something like this. Let's go. Let's try this. Okay. So core database. So there was a new, he did this towards the end, new folder, core, not code, core. So I'm gonna F2, rename it to core. and he moves database response validator. I think he also moved functions.php there. He did, but he also made some changes to functions.php. The file was deleted. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. Let's try it. One thing at a time. Cool. So database response and validator classes were moved to the core. I see response, validator, database. These three classes I'm going to move to core. Okay. Then in controller about.php, he changed it to view. So first up, let's define this view function. I know there were two functions defined here in not create, not index. Yeah, actually they were. No, not an index. They were defined in functions.php. Yeah. One of them was base path, the other one was here. I know base path was also defined in public. Oh yeah, here's another thing he did. He created public.index.php. So new folder, public. P small, not capital. Is public inside this? I want to pull it out. That's what she said. Public.php. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, cool. So public is on the top level directory and it has index.php. Here we see a bunch of wisdom. Yeah, all of this was deleted and instead this was required. Let's copy this. Okay. What? No, just copy this and I'm gonna, here goes nothing, delete it as well. This could absolutely wreck the project. This could absolutely completely obliterate the project, but let's see. In fact, I shouldn't do that. Let me just comment this out. Sorry, I'm sentimentally attached to these lines of code. Okay, so base path comes from functions.php, the function base path, not the constant base path. So in functions.php, I should do a lot of things, but here they are. Okay, cool. Define two functions, base path and view. Let's do that. I'm in functions.php. I'm going to define base path and view. Okay, cool. No more errors. I mean, at least at this level. But I know this is, if I go to the demo website, it's going to probably scream at me. You want to see that? You want to see my software scream at me? Yeah, see, not found. Slash was not found on this server. Wow, the home page wasn't found. Okay, cool. All is well. Just focus. Let's go through the changes one more time. So this was changed, this was changed, this was changed. That's fine. Controllers about PHP requires the view and heading about us. I'm going to take you through the life cycle, so don't worry. Copy. For now, I'm just going to update this and add that to, which one was it again? Controllers about PHP. Controllers about PHP. Instead of requiring this, I'm going to require the view. Heading is about, not heading, but header is what I called it, because I am such a genius. I am a genius. Header. Okay. Guess the same thing for here, and instead contact us. This not needed anymore. Index as well. I'm going to paste this. I'm going to change the header to home. Hey, home. Okay, now it should probably still scream at us. Thank you, it does. But at least these changes are done. So about.php, contact.php and index.php changes are done. Then let's do this for note.create as well. But in note.create, we are passing a few variables. First up, we're updating the function so that the errors array is outside. So let me clear everything. Close all. Close this. Of course, in the controllers note create.php, we take the errors array and move it out. I'm gonna control X, control V, and the header is new note. Just remember that, okay? For now, create.php. Yeah, here it is. I know there's a lot more changes, but wait a minute. Instead of this, header is create note. Okay, errors is error, that's fine. I'm gonna remove this. Now, do we need the config and db? Yeah, we don't require the validator, we don't require the config. Okay, instead, are we doing the base stir approach? Yes, we are. Okay, but we're skipping the validator. Okay. So see what's happening essentially, if you haven't figured it out yet, the red lines are deleted, the green lines are added. So in create.php, right before declaring a database variable, I'm gonna require config. Okay, makes sense because config database, yeah, that's fine. Errors array I moved up. I removed the errors from here. No change here essentially. Require. Okay, cool. So we're done with create PHP. Create index has something else. Create index also requires the base path to be done like this. I'm in create index and I'm gonna do this here as well. Then the same thing here. Instead of header, call it heading. No, I'm calling it header here. What am I doing? Instead of heading, call it header. Sorry. Okay, remove this. Notes is notes, that's fine. Let's do this for show as well. Probably you remember this trick I showed you? Command V in Windows gives you clipboard history. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're in show. Instead of require, we're doing require base path. That's fine. We're removing the heading note from there and adding the heading note down there. Cool, let's do that. But of course, instead of heading, I called it a header. Header was my note. Not New York note, my note. Header. Let me remove this. Okay. Note is fine, show is fine. Cool. So the notes controllers are okay. Let's go to functions.php. Okay. Functions.php. Didn't he move that to? I guess he didn't. He showed us. See, it's over here. He moved that to the core, but not here, I guess. Anyway, so functions.php, instead of function URL is value. Yeah, this is fine. Server request URI is this is still fine. Why did he remove it then? I don't know. He removed it just to add it. Oh, so instead of so he added it on the next line. So instead of just spacing here, he added it to the next line, which is what we have. So we're fine. Are we done with functions? Or no, we just added two more, which is base path and view. Base path and view added, that's fine. Okay. Index.php, we removed these three things. Did we? We moved it to public, so I guess yes, that's fine. We did remove them as well. See, commented out. Then public index.php, we have base path dir and base path functions php, base path dir, base path functions php. Then special autoload register class core class.php, core class.php, that's fine, base path. He did change this to like different concatenated string interpolation, which I don't really care too much about. Like I guess it's cool. What he essentially did was just this. See this just for showing you that what we see is what we get. That's what he did. Okay, I guess it's a little cooler. Then he required base path router. That's fine. Router works as it did before, but instead of let's look at router.php. Router.php. Over here, functions, route to controller URI resources function, route to controller URI resources function. Yeah, he didn't change any of this. Did he? No, I don't think he did. I'm going to continue. Maybe he added an extra space here or something like that. Okay, anyway, I'm going to ignore this. Router.php, create view PHP. Let's go. Oh yeah, this was a doozy. Create view PHP was in views. And create node PHP, right? Yeah, inside, yeah. Views nodes, create view PHP. So create view PHP is here. Updated all of the partials to the base path dir. Ditto for the footer. So I'm going to do that for these three first. Done. Done. And done diddly done. I'm going to do that for the footer now. Yep. And let's go. Okay, cool. I'll explain this. Give me a minute. Create view, index view, and show view. Done. Oh, that's it. Now does the app work? Fingers crossed. Of course it doesn't. Okay, let's do the okay, let's follow the life cycle. Oh yeah, because it doesn't, because Jesus Christ, I have to restart the server. Sorry. I'm gonna do this, and then what was it? -t, right? -t is public. What was it? PHP server -t. What's the documentation? Okay, W3 school. Oh no, we had the official thing there. Go away. I just need an answer. I hate it when websites do this. Look, you're trying to run a business, but don't SEO spam me. Okay, cool. Let's see what the documentation for -t is. There's nothing here. Then how do I get help? PHP-s. PHP-s. Give me, yeah, here. Dark root. Okay, so -t public. Let's go. This is the IP address. -t public. Okay. Let's go. Amazing. It works. It works. It does work. Okay, what happened? Nodes.php is bonked. Is it because my routes are bonked? Let's go to nodes, controller nodes show PHP. Yeah, what's happening here? Error failed, require include what? Include paths PHP in stack trace is demo functions line 31. Let's see functions line 34. Here require base path views slash, oh yeah, so this should be views slash notes. That's what the thing was. So what I forgot to do was in the controller for notes, controllers, notes, create. Yeah, this I did, but maybe I forgot to do that in views. Where did I mess up? Index has notes. This does as well. Okay, let me do the stack trace one more time. Require, okay. Index.php on line 31 require base path. Functions extract attributes require base path views slash path. So if you're doing view in the index for notes, yeah, then we do base path slash notes slash index.view.php and pass these arguments. But what happens if we do notes? You know what? It shouldn't be notes. Actually, it should, because in this we're in the views directory, right? So are we accounting for that in functions? Yeah, we are. So views slash notes slash index.view.php. Where here notes slash, no, not here, notes slash in views slash notes slash index.view.php. So views slash notes slash index.view.php. Views partials footer, views partial spanner. Does the same thing happen in create? Yeah, it does. Okay. Does it happen in a 404? Okay, it does. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see what's happening. First up, let me go to the home page, home and about page. Okay, why does the home page work? Let's step through this, through the application lifecycle. Close everything. It hits the public index folder first. In public index folder, we're defining the base path and loading functions.php. Then we're requiring the router.php. Okay, we're also defining the autoloader. Okay. Autoloader defines all of these classes, so that's fine. Now let's go to the router.php. Where in the router.php it requires, is it this? Did I forget to update router? Did he update router? Did Jeffrey do it? Router.php. He did, didn't he? Yeah, here's router.php. All he did was the thing that I did not understand. He changed function route to controller URI routes. Function route to, oh yeah, he removed the routes. That's what he did. This is an error. He didn't just, yeah, he removed the require for routes because it's auto loaded now. Oh, it's not, I guess. But what if I do based routes? What then? If I go to functions.php and understand base path, It should anyway work because it is base path. Routes is in the base directory. Well, let's see anyway. Base path. Okay. Should not make a difference at all. Yeah, it doesn't. But anyway, I like consistency, so I've put it there. Cool. Following along the application lifecycle, it goes to routes. Routes is over here. That's right? Router doesn't do anything else. Response code. I'm a little worried about this. Instead of views errors, it should probably do view. Yeah, let's do that. But I don't want to like bonk something that works right now. This is a issue to be solved later. Right now, let's just follow the application lifecycle. Parse URL, request URI path to control. This I don't think has anything to do with anything right now. Then route to controller, URI routes. Route to controller. It takes the routes and where's the URI? Yeah, URI is this. Okay, so this is for node ID equals 1, node ID equals 2, those things. Okay, let's go to URI and routes. If the URI is nothing, it just goes to routes. Here you go. That's what's happening here, right? Route to controller. If array exists, else just okay. Routes. We go to slash. Go to slash contact nodes and about. Okay, home works as controllers. Then index.php, about, and this. But in the nodes thing, controllers, nodes, index, show, and create. Index, show, and create in nodes. This is still fine. So let's assume nodes index. We're going to nodes index here. Okay, that's where the router hits nodes index. Nodes index requires base config. Let's look at this for a second. It's index.php inside the nodes. Not this. Yeah, this one. Controller nodes index.php. We deleted the require for config, and yeah, it did. And then instead required the base path config. That's fine. So require the base path config. That's fine. Config require base path config. Config require base path config. That's fine. We deleted the heading and we deleted the require statement for views. Yes, we did. There's no heading. There's no require statement for views. Instead, we added view nodes index PHP. View nodes index view PHP. Header is my nodes. Nodes is nodes. Okay, so maybe this is where it's getting bonked, where we are passing arguments. Views nodes index PHP and comma index and nodes header and nodes is nodes. Okay, let's examine that for a second. We're defining this in here, attributes. By default is an empty array. But if we do this, then we're going to base path views. Interesting. Views slash nodes slash, yeah, I already verified this, but extract attributes. Is that what's happening? If I go to functions.php again. Look, if it doesn't work, I'm just going to clone the repo. Functions.php. Extract attributes require base path view PHP. Views PHP. That's all that's happening. Base path, base path, path, That's fine. Base path, path, base path, path. I find it funny that he chose to call the function the same thing as the PHP object, but sure. Is there someone in chat who can help me? No. Okay, cool. What's happening here? Functions path attributes is a empty array that extracts attributes. We extract attributes here. That's fine. Then we require base path, path. I think something's happening here when we're extracting attributes. That's what's causing it to not work. Unless there's a specific error. Let's look at the error. Get uncaught function, uncaught error notes. Failed opening required. Partials head. Oh my god, is it that dumb error again? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Partials head. Did I forget to update it here? Let's see. Just close all of this and look at the index view. What did it forget? Views partials head.php. Views partials head.php. Views partials head dot. Oh god, it's head.view.php. So let me just rename this now. These partials are differently named from what he did. Okay, so I'm gonna rename them here just so that this is easier. Interesting. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Head.view. Same for this. I'll tell you how I figured this out. I'll be a little more explicit. So what's happening is it's looking for partial slash head.php, which is what I've mentioned here. But what I've named here is partials.head.view.php, what I had named it here. But now I renamed it, it should work. Of course it doesn't. Because I think I have to change that across the, what do you call it, other pages as well. So let's do this for index. Yeah, see, this is the problem. I want to remove this. Then I'll do this for contact. In fact, let's check on index. What up? Okay, let's just keep going. Base path views partials. I'll see. Give me a sec. I know. Stop screaming at me. Okay, contact is done. About as well. Feels so good to finally have a big breakthrough. Oh god. Yeah, I think I'm gonna require base path here as well. See, I don't just need this, I need to require base path. Yeah, let me copy this and update these as well. Fingers crossed. Let's see if it works. It does. Now this does as well. This does as well. Hopefully notes should as well. Let's go. It does. Validation works. Redid the whole project from Git. Yeah. Oh, lovely. It clears out my old message as well. View works. let's do an invalid. If 0 worked, then this should work as well. You know what, in the spirit of things, yeah, this works. Sigh of relief. I honestly did not know how we could do this together, but I'm glad we got the error so that I could at least take you through the application lifecycle. I'm going to try and do that one more time right now. Okay, let's do it one more time, because there I got into error debugging mode. Right now I'm going to instead go into explanation mode. Okay, so this is our simple project. Our entry point is the public function. You know why that's the entry point? Because if I go here, I defined it in the -t public directory. Okay, so let's do that again. I defined the entry point as public directly. In public we have index. By the way, what I did was press Ctrl tilde to hide the console in VS Code. Cool. In index we're defining a constant called base path, and we're also requiring functions.php. I didn't fully understand the special autoload register. My understanding is that it automatically loads the classes. That's really what my understanding is. That's where it's limited to. But let's Google it. Let's see if we can understand better. Yeah, PHP manual, amazing. Okay, function special auto if your code existed. I don't understand any of this. Register a function. Register given function as autoload implementation. Registers a function with the special autoload queue. If the queue is not yet activated, it will be activated. How is it loading the classes is what I want to know. Effectively creates a queue of autoload functions, and in order they were defined. I do not know this. I'll wait for Jeffrey to explain. He did not really explain it, did he? Let's look at his thing again. Did I miss the part of explanation? If I did, I'm sorry. Let me watch it again. Just that part.
Automatically. And here's why. If I go into the controller, and now, as expected, our controller no longer knows what database is. Okay, so let's switch back. And let's see, right here, I'm going to call this scary PHP function called SPL Autoload Register. But don't worry, it's not too bad. This is going to accept a class, and just to get us rolling, I will die and dump the class so you can see when.
What does it do? You never tell us that, Jeffrey.
This function,
which is fine if it's a little above a pay grade right now,
is automatically triggered by PHP. All right, switch back to Firefox, give it a refresh, and aha.
Wait, again.
By PHP. So you can see when this function is automatically triggered by PHP.
Okay, so all I know is this is some function that automatically gets triggered by PHP.
All right, switch back to Firefox, give it a refresh, and aha. We have called that function, or PHP called that function automatically. And here's why. If I go into the controller, temporarily, just to show you, I will comment all of that out. And yeah, this line right here is what's triggering that call. So if I come back and refresh, yeah, you still see it there. Okay, so the issue is PHP doesn't...
New database config database. So when we create a new object, it triggers the autoload function, is what I understand.
Know what that database class is, so it's trying to track it down. And we have declared our implementation, so to speak, for how we should autoload files that aren't immediately available. Okay, so now we just have to figure out what is the logic? What should we do? Well, we have database, so why don't we just say initially require class.php, and maybe just to be crystal clear, we will start at the base path, so we can use our helper function base path. Okay, but actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's pass this to var dump.
Okay, so what's it saying? what this does essentially is PHP can't, if PHP can't find a class, then it essentially tells it hits the autoloader function, and then we're telling it to go to the core directory and then class.php. Understood? That's what this does. I guess I understand it, but I'm not a fan of it, but I understand it. Right? What's happening here? I'll explain this again, how we did that. So we're going to index PHP here, and from index we're going to the router. And the router requires routes. No, not the router. I believe it was... Where was database coming up? Here? No, good. No. Somewhere along. I'm sorry, I forgot. Where did he show? Let's see. He showed it in the index PHP for the nodes controller. Oh, got it. Yeah. So anytime we hit the database, oh, I get it. So anytime we hit the database, it's over here. And PHP doesn't know what this is. It'll go to the autoload function, which is defined here, and say that, hey, it's in the core slash whatever class you're looking for .php. And that's why it's important to have these as capital. Okay, got it. I'm not happy with it, but I sort of get it. Okay, cool. So I'll close everything else. Close others. Okay, cool. So we're at index.php, we require functions.php, and we require the router. Okay. So let's go to the functions.php first. Here we are defining what base path is. So that can be accessed over here now. The function base path, not the constant base path. The constant base path is directed here. Declared here. Then we're also declaring function view. So we have access to base path and view, two of these things. So we're requiring base path dot router. So whatever this is, base of the directory, we're going to the router. This is actually quite useful. This is actually quite useful. Let's look at the base path implementation a little. All the base path does is it concatenates this with this. Okay, base path is dir, the current directory of the index, and then go up a level. So base path right now is public, but because we're going dot dot, then it goes up a level. That's what base path is. Then we're concatenating it, base path dot functions.php, which takes us here, and functions.php takes us a step further and makes a function out of it, the concatenation. And we also do the same for views, and we also accept attributes for views. Now here we are at the router.php. In the router.php we are requiring again base path routes, which is over here. Then as usual we are defining route to controller, and we're defining a bot. In fact, I should change the bot. 404 won't work. It will, but it will be hard coded. It does not work. Ha 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 ha. One step ahead of you. Okay, cool. So let's fix that. Require views.error. No, I'm gonna require base path. No, actually, let's require view errors slash this. Now it may work, because that's what the view function does. It takes a path and returns views by default. So I don't have to say views. Yeah, correct. Views slash errors. But it returns views / anyway. So I don't need this. I just need this error / respond code. Nada. Oh, is my server running? it is. What are we trying to do? Oh, view head.php. Same thing. In views, errors. Here I have this. Instead, I need to require view this head.php. Okay, same thing here. View partials nav.php. Same thing here. View partials footer.php. I'm gonna copy this, paste it here, and here I'm gonna view partials. Okay, let's go. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Wait, why is this blank? But does it at least show me 404? Yeah, it does. But it's not loading the text that I've set here. Why is that? Let's view the page source. It loads nothing except for the head. Okay, let's see. This is loaded, errors. So you know what's happening? I know what's happening. The abort function. Where did we define the abort function? I believe we defined it in the router. Yeah, here it is. So require view errors. Response code.php 403.php. Errors. Let's see if we can instead require just notes/index.php on a 404. Contact should work, but this should just show me a list of new error. So I think that's where the problem was. If I am trying to do that, if this is not found, response code abort, response code is sent, and it's can't request this. What's happening here if I move back to this? So it loads this, but not the view. In 404, I'm in main requires partials nav.php. Where is partials nav.php? Okay, this is everything. But it's not loading. PHP. Oh God, I'm close. Jesus. I swear I'm a better programmer than this. There. Okay. Let's go here. Let's look at a view and copy. Did I forget to close the... Oh Jesus, what I did. No, I don't need this. I just need to go here. And in 404 as well. This is actually fine. PHP require view, PHP require view. Right? It is fine. PHP require base path, not view. God. Sorry. Yeah, because I'm loading the entire view here. Not nice base. Same with this. Base. 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 And base path. A little tangent there, and of course this is going to, it does give me a 404, but it doesn't load the view. Why not? There's nothing. It loads the head. Yeah, it does. No, actually it doesn't. Okay. Let's ignore this for now because he hasn't taken us to that edge case yet. Maybe he does show us how to handle this later. Views errors 403.php. Views errors 404.php. Views errors 404.php. Require base path. Require base path. I don't know. You got me beat there. I'm gonna go to the home page again. This stuff works as expected. Cool. Okay. So where were we? We were following the life cycle, right? Yeah. So we go to index partials. Essentially the same as before. So we go to a controller and see if, let's say, for example, inside the nodes controller, create, we're requiring the base path for config. Then we require the view, which is create view.php, and that we're passing along the header argument and the errors array. Over here, nodes create.view.php. This one takes the header. I'm hard coding it anyway. Jesus. Am I doing that for everything? I don't think actually no, header is implemented by head. So it's over here. Partials head. This is the thing that takes the header. Not head, banner. Yeah, here it is, the header. Cool, so that's where the header variable comes into play, and in the create view, we're looping over the arrays, errors array if there's an error. If not, we're just publishing it to the database using this query and then clearing out the body. Whew, quite a packed episode. I'm glad we at least have it working up to the point that Jeffrey taught us, but we do have the error, I acknowledge. We do have the 404 and 403 pages not loading. I guess that's something for us to fix later once Jeffrey teaches us. But thank you again for watching this. I know this has been a heavy episode, and I appreciate that you are here learning this with me. Thanks again. Tune in again next time. And one more thing, of course, how did I forget mentioning this? Please do check out Jeffrey Way's entire series on laracast.com. It's for free. And he's also posted this on his YouTube channel. Both of those links are in the description. Okay, thank you again, and I'll see you soon. Bye.